welcome back to building a web application from scratch. My name is Matt, and in this video, we're going to continue to set up our NestJS server. So if you're following along in project management software, you can go ahead and open our card. You can see in our last video, we created our NestJS server with our environment variables. In this video, we're going to connect the server to Atlas MongoDB. So what we want to do is, first off, we need to create our database collections. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Atlas MongoDB. And if you don't have an account, you can go ahead and sign up for an account here. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Okay, once we're signed in, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new project. So I'm going to go ahead and see, we view all projects. I'm going to click new project. And so this is just like a cloud-based storage for your MongoDB databases, right? It's really nice because you don't have to be on a local machine or anything to access it. So we're going to go ahead and call this to-do app. And we're going to go ahead and save, add members. We're just going to head and create our project. Alrighty. So first thing we want to do is we want to create a cluster. We're going to create, and we want to use a free version here for learning and exploring. Limited sandbox, you can upgrade at any time. And we're going to call this to-do cluster. We'll leave it as AWS. Automatic security setup. We're good to go. Make sure we're on the free version. Create deployment. Alrighty. So here's one of the things we need to remember. So you need a secure cluster before you can use it. Set which users and IP addresses can access your cluster. Your current IP address, it gives us our IP address, has been added and enabled. Only IP addresses that you add can access, will be able to connect to your project's cluster, right? That's important. So the first user will have admin permissions. We auto username password. You can use this to create your own. So we'll need our database user credentials as well. So we need to remember this information. Let's go ahead and we're going to copy this. And let's go ahead and go into our IDE. And inside of our Nest server, let's create a new file, and we're going to call this DB threads. And we're just going to do this temporarily, right? But we just need a place to paste this. And then let's come back over and let's copy this username as well. Let's post that in there. Get rid of these. I'm logging in. All right. So now what we want is, let's go ahead and create that database user. And let's choose a connection method. And we want to have our drivers up here. Node.js, that's what we want. Version 6.7 or later, that's what we want. So we need to install this in our application, and then we're going to add our connection string, right? So let's go ahead and follow these steps. It even gives us our cluster here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back to our IDE. We're in our Nest server right now. So we're going to run npm install MongoDB. we're at it, I think we might want to install Mongoose as well. So let's go ahead and install it. Install Mongoose. So that's going to allow us to connect our database. Let's come down. We now have this connection string. So what we'll do is we're going to click done for now. So we can come into clusters and we can see we have our to-do cluster. We browse our collections. Dismiss. So we don't have any collections in here, right? So what we want to do is we want to create a database. So we're going to go ahead and correct database, and we're going to call our database name is going to be to-do dev, and our collection name is going to be users. Time series sequence of measurements over a period of time. We don't want that. Let's go ahead and say create database. So now you can see we have a to-do dev collection with users. And there isn't going to be any users right now, but that's okay. So we're going to do the same thing. Go up to our to-do. We're going to create another database, and we're going to call this to-do staging. Collection name, users. And we're going to come back up again, create database. Database name is going to be to-do prod and users. So one thing to point out is that we're on the free version here. It's okay to use the free version for development, but say we were building a legitimate like application that we were going to sell and do all that stuff on, we would want to use a paid version for probably our production and our staging. So we probably want to have, separate clusters for our different environments there, all under the project, right? So like in our cluster, like if we go up to our project level, like our clusters here, so you have to do cluster, browse collections, and you can see that they're accessed here. It's, you could also probably have, to do a to-do dev cluster, a to-do staging cluster, a to-do production cluster, right? We don't need to do that here, but you could. So let's go ahead and browse these collections again. So in our to-do development, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to now connect this, right? We want to connect to this cluster. Let's see if we go back to our clusters, we're going to click connect. I'm going to go back to this and we're going to copy this connection string. And we're going to come up to our environment and we're going to say, we're going to give a create an environment variable for this. So what we're going to say is going to say MongoDB underscore URI. We're going to paste that in there. And then we also need to specify that particular database that we want to access. So in order to do that, we need to say to do app, or what do we call it? Done to do dev. To do dev. Save. And so that should allow us to connect to that particular database whenever we run our connection. Okay, so now we can go ahead and create our database module. So what we're going to want to do, let's go ahead and figure all this out. I know we installed Mongoose and MongoDB, but let's go ahead and run npm install at NestJS Mongoose as well, because we're going to need to import some libraries from them to make our database connection nice and clean. And then from there, we can go ahead and I do notice up in our string here, we got our database password. Let's actually go down to our DB creds and let's go ahead and copy this. Go into our instead and save that. So now we can go ahead and run nest generate module database. What this is going to do is it's going to create that database module for us. So now if we come down to our source directory, we can see we have that database module in there. So now let's go to our app module, this. So we can see we've got our database module here imported already. So it already automatically imports for us. So all we have to do now is add MongoDB URI, that environment variable connection string, to our validation schema to make sure that that's required whenever we start our application. So now let's go ahead and go to our database module. So there's some things we're going to want to import here. Let's go ahead and import the logger. From here, we're going to import our config module and our config service. And we're going to import our Mongoose module from NestJS Mongoose as well. So now what we can do is we're going to come into our module. We're going to say imports. We're going to import our config module. And then we're going to say mongoose module for root async. We're going to inject our config service. And then we're going to say use factory config service URI config get string MongoDB URI. So this is all part of this Mongoose module. So this is allowing us to inject that configuration service, and then using this function here, this use factory function, we're going to be able to form this connection with our MongoDB URI from our configuration service. So we've got use factory URI, and then what we're going to do is we're actually going to say connection factory. So we're going to use our connection factory function. We're going to say connection. And we're going to say const logger equals new logger, and we're going to call it database. So then we're going to say log successful connection. So we're going to say connection on connected. We're going to say database connected. Don't need any emojis there. Let's see what these say. Log disconnection, connection on disconnected, database disconnected. Error, we want our error, log connection error. We have connection on error. What we need to do is we need to log database connection error and log that error. Close that. And then let's go ahead and say reconnected as well. We're going to say connection on reconnected, database reconnected. Close that. And then we're going to return connection. Save. So essentially what we've done now is we've used this connection factory, right, to say on our connection, we're going to log, create a new logger, database logger, and we're going to say if the connection is successful, we're going to log that it's connected, if it's disconnected, an error state, and if it reconnects, and then we're going to return. Let's go ahead and make sure that is saved. And what we're going to want to do is let's go ahead and now let's run it and see what happens. Let's go npm run start dev. So we can see servers running. Mapped, it's connected, but I'm looking for this database connection string. Let's see. I feel like this should work. So let's go ahead and look. Let's go to ask and say, when I start my application with npm run start dev, the database connection, is successful, but I don't see my success log. And let's see what it says. So it's saying the problem is that the connected event listener has been registered, and at the time it's registered, it's a timing issue. Key changes adding this check at the end. Database connected. So it's essentially saying that, let's go ahead and add this at the start though, right below here. Let's format this. Save. And see right here, database connected. Okay, so essentially it's saying that it's connecting too fast to be able to log this event listener. So go ahead and look and see if it's already connected by the time this runs. And if it's already connected, we say database connect. So cool. So our database is connected. We're connected successfully. So we're good to go. We can now go ahead and let's go to our environment variables. Let's grab this, go to staging, but let's add our to-do staging. We need to change these. Save, go to production. Whoops, don't need that. We only need this one. And then we're going to call it to do production. Actually, let's check that to make sure that's what we actually called them again. So let's browse these collections. To do prod and to do staging. So we actually need prod. Save. Okay. So now let's go ahead and close this. Let's go ahead and npm run start staging. Database connected. It's running in staging. Let's close. Start prod. Database connected, and it's running on port 8080 in production. Perfect. So we've confirmed that our database connections are correct across our different environments. We've successfully created our Atlas MongoDB clusters and databases. We're all set. So I think we're going to call that good for today. So let's go ahead and come over to our GitHub and let's actually push these changes. So if I go to my GitHub desktop, let's go to our main switch branch. Actually, let's go back to that create server branch. I created a branch, but whatever branch you're on, let's go ahead and say creating server, creating NestJS server. Okay, I've seen this before. So what's going on here is that whenever we create our NestJS, I think it creates a GitHub repository or a Git repository, not GitHub, but a Git repository of its own. Because, yeah, you can see a git ignore right in here. So I think what we need to do, can we view even our hidden files? Let's go ahead and ask, and let's just say, when I created my NestJS application, it created its own Git repository inside of my project, but my project already was inside of a Git repo that I created. Because I'm assuming we're just going to want to remove what the NestJS created. So navigate. A server. So navigate to the to-do app, remove the let's make sure it's there. get item. Let's see. Get item dot get force. All right, it's there. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to say remove item force dot get. Okay. Looks like it removed it. So let's go ahead and, all right, can't find it. So it's been removed. So now if we go to our repository here, we can see our changes. So there you go. Problem solved. Let's go create an NestJS service, commit it, publish branch. I'm going to go ahead and preview that pull request because I created a separate branch. That's okay. So we're just going to create a pull request, merge, confirm merge. Go ahead and delete that branch. Now I'm going to go back to my GitHub here. I'm going to go to main, fetch origin, pull. There we go. So we're all set. Our changes are logged. So let's go ahead and go to our application or project management software. Just to wrap up, open up our NestJS server, and we're going to go ahead and mark our connection to the Atlas complete. And there we go. So that's all we're going to cover for today. I hope this was helpful, and thanks for listening. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and create that health check API. So looking forward to that. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.